Because like some of those songs, like a song like American Death gave me that vibe, like of the kind of song that I would like flip out if I heard when I was like a teenager, and
Yeah.
then like if I had to sit there and like write about it, like I mean, maybe I put a little more like adult kind of thoughts into it, but it's
Right.
like the tone of the voice and the way things are being said is very like disgruntled young
Mhm.
person. Like that lives in my head, like
Yeah.
from back then, and I just kind of wanted to honor that, and again, it was fun. It was fun to say, more off the wall kind of stuff than we usually
Right.
do.
Adam, thank you for your time. Before we start talking about the new album and everything, how tired are you? Because you just had an insane tour through Europe. How did that go?
Well, it's been a few weeks now. I think we've been back for a good 3 weeks or so. So I've had a little time to adjust. But I'm also when I'm home, I've got two small kids and a whole big family to take care of. So that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
no rest for the wicked. It's just but we're doing well over here.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We'll talk more about tiresome touring schedules later in this interview, I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
let's focus on the main event right now. Your self-titled album is coming out May 30th, if I'm not mistaken. Um, a self-titled album is always a statement, or is at least going to be interpreted as such. So how different is living up to this release for you, given everything that's already happened?
Well, I mean, uh, it is. I mean, I feel like every record is a challenge in that way of living up to the expectations of the previous one,
Yeah,
or
yeah, 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 yeah.
the expectations of fans, based on our catalog. So this one, wasn't really that different in that respect. Like, I mean, obviously we have a lot of, like it's always when a band has a new lineup, it's always tough. You got to prove yourself in that way to your fans and stuff. And I think I think that was sort of in our minds while doing this, but it was more like I think that we felt like really inspired and really eager to write the best songs, that like challenge ourselves to write the best songs that we possibly could,
Yeah.
um, and that made it a lot of fun to do. And yeah, it left us. I think it left us in a spot where like, we have this. It's sort of this proving ground thing, new configuration of the band. We are really proud of the material, and I think it feels like a first record in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I don't I didn't really have any reservations with putting the self-titled stamp on it. Like it feels like a new chapter, a new beginning. But it is, it also proving, you know, that we're still that band, and we're confident about where we came from, and we're only more and more seasoned songwriters, and that's what's really important to us.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it shows all of that.
Is it in a way like almost like the band's rebellion against, and I mean this lightly or in a positive way, against like the pedestal that Owls was put on? Because you just said like, oh, I kind of, we're always being compared to what happened in the past.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think if anything, the last record was more
Yeah.
that than anything was
Okay.
was you know was a more direct response to the the whole owls mania, and like just I think and I don't know, it was like it's a pretty bitter record in that way. I feel like it
Yeah.
does feel like kind of like a kind of gut wrench, like fuck you response to to us having any kind of success at all, which is It's a little shitty on our part, but kind of on brand, if you ask me. Um, yeah, you really had a fun time listening to this last record. Well, wait till you hear this next thing. You're just gonna
Yeah.
make you sad as absolutely possible. That was kind of the goal last time around, but now this time it's almost counter to that. Was like, how much fun can we make
Right.
this record? Like how much, without trying to cater to any specific style that we may or may not have done before. Just like we wanted this to be these songs to like rip and be a good time and have sweet choruses and really memorable parts and just feel like the full force of the band is coming at you.
That whole roller coaster, and like after this question, let's definitely look ahead. But like this whole roller coaster, like, did you were on that journey with a label like Metal Blade that has seen many bands on their roster throughout the years go through those crazy highs and lows, or highs and then people, old school fans going like, "Oh, this is not what I used to know," or whatever, like reacting to that. Were they able to guide you somewhat? Like, were you getting some coaching from the team around you that you didn't have to deal with that pressure all by yourself?
No, not really. They don't really meddle. I mean, like, hey, this is the band that like famous. I mean, like the label that oversaw the famously like the one of the biggest singer changes in metal history. In Cannibal Corpse happening back in the day, and like. I thought, maybe somebody come out of the woodwork and be like, "Hey, man, we've seen this work really well before, but got no such praise. But that's all right. I don't need it. Like, it's just like, I, uh, I don't know. It's fine. Like they're very, very grateful for Metal Blade and everything
Yeah,
they've done for us, and it's their policy. I think when it comes to us is just like kind of like let them cook, like just let them do their thing. Let's not butt in with whatever weird shit Rivers of Nile has got going on.
yeah,
Like they'll figure
yeah.
it out. And
Yeah.
that's what I think is based on what I've heard is pretty rare when it comes to bands and their relationship with their labels. So I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, you said earlier, and if I was interesting, like, you're trying to have as a group, and you said like, oh, we were inspired, but also we wanted to have, not only we wanted to have fun, we wanted to put fun in this record, and I wanted to make it maybe a little bit more enjoyable experience or more digestible experience than the previous work. But you guys are, throughout your on this album as well, and on these previous albums, you've touched on some like you've explored some very deep stuff and philosophical stuff and, existential themes. How do you translate that to, well, altogether, just like how do you like find the right music that resonates with that? But definitely, how do you do that while injecting fun into that? Because those are not always themes that scream, oh, that's a fun afternoon, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an interesting balancing act because that's the kind of band that we are. Like we write about heady shit, I guess, and that's like, I think in the context of what it is that we do, like it can be fun. I think like, for example, like when I think of a fun record in the context of this band, I kind of think of our second full length Monarchy, like as being kind of like it's a blast. It's just a lot of good riffs and like pit stuff, and there's an appropriate amount of progressive leanings happening. Still no
Right.
saxophone yet, but like
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like so that was like that album I think was kind of a guiding light for us on this one. But of course taking it into account the things that we've done since. But that was definitely there for us to be like, okay, this is what this band sounds like when we're just trying to rip them. You're just trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, we're not trying. I mean, like the lyrics are still pretty like they're pretty like you know you know
Intense.
they're pretty
Deep.
four dimensional. Like they're crazy.
Right.
But it's still got a fun tone to it. And then like some of that like is lyrically and thematically kind of crept into the new record, and like I think, there's a lot of a lot more like loose language, if you will, and like just a lot of like I wrote some lyrics to some of these songs like with the perspective of like what would I write if I was like 15 like and like
Okay.
had this song, because like some of those songs like a song like American Death gave me that vibe like of the kind of song that I would like flip out if I heard when I was like a teenager. And
Yeah.
then like if I had to sit there and like write about it, like I mean, maybe I put a little more like adult kind of thoughts into it, but it's
Right.
like the tone of the voice and the way things are being said is very like disgruntled young
Mhm.
person. Like that lives in my head, like
Yeah.
from back then, and I just kind of wanted to honor that, and again, it was fun. It was fun to say more off the wall kind of stuff than we usually
Right.
do.
We're talking about the music and the lyrics and the themes and stuff like that, but there is a fourth dimension to you guys as well, which is the visual part of it, which, on your artworks, t-shirt designs, but also your videos, there's always, at least I always feel like a lot of thought has gone into it, a lot of visual artistic expression, and very different ones are explored, and we come to expect that at this point from you guys. But like, what's not every band that does that or embraces that considers that necessarily a natural extension of the band, but with you guys it definitely does feel that way always. It always feels like a lot of symbolism in album art or in video covers. Like is that a band collective thing, or is that coming from very specific people?
I mean, things like that. I mean, yeah, obviously everything that we do is a collaboration on some level, but it does like things like the direction of like the album art and like the general theme of a lot of most of the videos that we've made. There's stuff that I've come up with, because it's usually been me writing lyrics for the band
Yeah.
and coming up with these concepts and song titles and piecing the albums together in their particular orders and things like that. So when it comes down to time to like make anything visual, it's like that. It feels like I'm kind of holding the keys on
Right.
that a lot of the time, and sometimes I feel like we really hit it, and sometimes I feel like I always like it, like what comes out of like the videos and stuff, um, or else I wouldn't approve it,
Right.
obviously. And but so sometimes it's just wild to see how different of an idea goes from here to like on the screen, and it just due to like the real world limitations of things. Like you don't have this many people on hand, or like the budget
Right.
is this, or we can't get this location at this time, and like it's crazy the amount of stuff that goes into all these visual parts,
Hmm.
like communicating with artists and directors and all sorts of people in just such a rudimentary way, because I'm not like, I mean, I guess I have some film knowledge, but like I just like basically like will write or do a Zoom call and just be like,
Right.
look,
Right.
this is what I see, and like I'm just kind of hoping that it comes together the way I want to. And I think yeah, I think this band's created kind of an interesting visual legacy at this point.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely like in terms of like videos, like I feel like that's a part where we like tend to typically take ourselves less seriously, and that's I mean, occasionally, like sometimes we have a real serious video, and sometimes it's just a goof fest, and I don't think that I think that kind of fits the spirit of the band, because we kind of just do whatever we feel like doing at that particular time when it comes to the music and stuff, but album artwork too is those that's always something very a little like more sacred, because I feel like that really
Mhm.
like out of everything that really lives forever.
Yeah.
And so I usually trying to really like hone in on what I'm seeing for before I go to talk to Dan Seagrave, the guy who has done all of our art so far.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just so I really try to like hone in with him. And this new record, like I think it's one of my favorite covers we've ever had, and it's just
I'd
like,
agree so.
but it's also like so far from what my initial idea was.
Okay.
It was just like we just kind of developed it and rolled it and like, well, what if this was this way, and like picked out of a bunch of different things, and it came to be what it is, and I'm like, this is perfect. Like
Yeah.
but it wasn't what I saw at the beginning, and it's interesting how all of these processes work this way.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then it's already an eye-opening experience for you to go from idea to creation. But then once it's out there, all the symbolism, all the art can be interpreted by all these different people in different ways, and people will probably share with you. You're going on the road again. Let's use that as a segue to, because we
Yeah,
have to start wrapping us up here. But I'm sure you're going to get a lot of feedback from fans that will tell you like, "Oh, I love how you like symbolize this," and you might be thinking like, "That is not at all what we were thinking." But anyway, that'll
yeah,
happen for
yeah,
sure. Um, you were insane in Europe. You're going to be even more insane in North America because the distances you're going to have to drive are crazy. And I think you're playing 28 shows in 30 days or something along those lines from end of May to end of June. And you're ending right here in Toronto, which we really appreciate.
yeah.
What can we expect given that you said, well, this is kind of like the start of a new era? Like, are some parts of the band's history closed off for the moment?
I mean, not like forever. I mean, I think we've made the cardinal sin of writing really long songs during our career, and a lot of them that we still really like,
Right,
and especially in the course of the last three albums that we've made, which subsequently are our most popular stuff that we've done. So I mean, we're not really going to be jumping into the vaults like anything
right.
before that on this tour. Uh, Not to say that we won't in the future, but it's just we're just at where we're at right now with the music that we're playing, and it just happens to be mostly centered on the last three records and a lot of new stuff. Like we feel like we toured a lot on our last record, especially, and like we we did that record in full. We did the last record in full on tours. Like even and I think it's just I think it's time that fans hear something new from us when they come see us live. So yeah, the focus is mainly on the new album, and
Yeah.
I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Hopefully, you'll have a few days of rest before the Euro, summer festival start because you got some cool announcements there as well. It's going to be a
Yeah,
busy year for you, Adam. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Again,
yeah, no
my
problem, man.
apologies for having to listen to me with a shot of voice today, but it is what it is. Thank you so much for
It's
your
all right.
time, and we'll see you in Toronto in
All right,
June.
man. Yeah, yeah. We'll see you then.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.